Hello there everyone, and welcome back to Empire Total War 2 with this French campaign. So I'm working my way towards the French Revolution. We're about 20 years away from it, but I wanted to show a midway point of kind of what I've been doing in between this time. So right now we're at 1771, and in terms of major stuff, we just need to look across the channel and we can see that Scotland is back, Ireland is back, and that the English are under occupation. I've got an army here stationed. It's a new army consisting of the newer troops of different kinds. Got a little bit of different troops. We even have some Scottish troops. I can actually recruit specific Irish line infantry, and then these for Scottish line infantry. So that's what's happening over in Britain. Then in larger forms, I was talking about cutting down the Russians as well as the Ottomans. And so what I have done is I've taken over and handed over tons of territory to the Austrians, as we can see. I even gave them Constantinople. The reason why I gave them Constantinople and why I don't hold on to it myself is because I think it's a victory condition of the Austrians, and they kept declaring war on me, which I was trying to avoid as much as possible. I was just gonna make sure that we make a power balance in Eastern Europe, so we don't have the Russians spilling over into my sphere of influence. So I've been going through conquering territory and handing it over to the Austrians. So at this point they hold territory from Vienna down to Constantinople, and then from Bosnia all the way up to Transylvania. So I hold quite a bit of territory right here. I am about to start to work on... I'm gonna hopefully get rid of the Swedes, but I'm also working on restoring the Prussians. We have a French army right here that is ready to march on Berlin and hopefully go ahead and liberate that for the Prussians. And we're gonna work our way, create a Prussian state as well. And maybe even after that, we will create a Polish state after that. And hopefully keep the Russians away. We might have to go quite hard on the Russians, because I'm fearing that Russia might be such an OP nation that, or at least when they're not being held in check by Sweden, which should invade them, when they're not being held in check by the Swedes, they cause quite a massive problem for Europe. It could also have been just the fact that the Austrians were fighting the Ottomans at the same time as they were fighting the Polish at the same time as they were fighting the Prussians. So everyone were kind of fighting here, and then the Russians come in and just sweep through and take everything. Anyways, we're gonna cut down Russia as much as possible. They're the major opponent to the French Empire right now, just in the sheer size and power of them. So they need to be cut down anyways, even if we don't try and, redraw the map here of Europe, as I'm trying to do. So that's what's going on in Europe. In terms of India, nothing's going on in India, nothing important. However, in the Americas we have a slight change. So earlier, I think in the last episode, I showed the fact that the Spanish declared war on the Cherokee and took a lot of Cherokee territory. They also took Persian territory that the Persians had bought from the Cherokee. The Cherokee had quite a bit of money problem, and they sold the territory to a number of different states. Actually, I should say, in terms of Europe or in terms of Austria, the first territory I gave back to the Austrians were the Bosnian region. They actually, after the first peace conference with Austria or with whoever, I can't remember exactly how it went, but After the first, like, when fighting was dying down in that area, the Austrians actually sold Bosnia back to the Ottomans. And upon that, then later declared war on me, so it's a bit odd. But anyways, the Spanish then actually declared war on the Algonquin tribes. And so, not to have my area now split by Spain in two, I had to go in and take over the Algonquins myself. So we had to quickly rush together an army and then conquer the territories as quickly as possible. I was able to achieve this. There was a little bit touch and go with Spain. We can still see some remnants if we go to Europe, where they were, I think, thinking about invading me. There's some armies here upon ships, and I think there might be some lingering in the Caribbean as well. I know there's an Austrian ship somewhere around here, yeah. The Austrians were thinking about invading my Caribbean holdings as well. If they get that idea again, I have fire ships stationed right next to the fleet, so hopefully they should sink them before I need to send an army over there. And then also adding on to this, I decided, since I already had then the new army in the area, decided to invade and take over the Huron territory. I thought the Hurons were only holding this territory, but they actually held two. I thought there was a split faction into two. There were two different factions, but this is all Huron territory. Interestingly enough, before conquering the Hurons, I looked at what kind of troops they can recruit, and they could actually recruit Magua, if you see. What's it called? The Last Mohicans with I can't remember his name. But you know, if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. So Magua, which is not a what's it called? Not the Mowgli. What are they called? The ones who would you spill water on them and they multiply. Gremlins, yeah. Almost sounds. That's a Magui. But this is this Magua. Magua. I'm saying it wrong. It doesn't sound right. Anyways, if you know the movie, you know the guy. He oftentimes what's it called? The actor often plays sort of the evil native in a lot of these. I think he also is the evil native in Dancing with Wolves as well. Anyways, the reason why I came on here and is going to show you a little bit of an update of what's going on was because I found an opportunity down here to actually fight the Ottomans. So a lot of the battle against the Ottomans have crashed. So we weren't really able to get a proper battle against them. However, I have invaded Egypt. We've sent an army down here. We're still at war with the Ottomans, and I wish to cut down their power even further so that they're not really as much of a problem as they have been. Really cut down on their empire status. Preferably, what I would want is... my ideal scenario of the world is basically me controlling sort of historically what France hold in terms of empire and whatever, and then literally every other state, every other one of them would be sort of a vassal or protectorate, and there would be, what's it called? It's called Pax Romana, Pax Americana, Pax Britannia, or whatever you call it. I would have a Pax Francia, I guess. We would have world peace with France as the superpower, and everyone is a vassal state controlled by France, with possibly exceptions then of the Spanish Empire and few other states that might remain neutral. In case here, I should say, once we have taken Egypt, I'm pretty sure it's a victory condition for the Ottomans, so they might continuously try to declare war. So I think I might march on after taking this, take Jerusalem, hand that over to Rome, hand it over to the Pope. The Pope, Protectorate of Knights of St. John. No, it's the other way around, right? The Knights of St. John is a protectorate of the Pope. Wait, can I click here? No. Let's find them then. Where in the list? Oh, they're right next to them. Protectorates. Protectorate of. Okay, so the Knights of St. John has a protectorate, which is the Pope. Huh, interesting. I've also been able to recruit a few new different troops. It's not visible in this army. It's actually visible in the army in the battle we're going to play, which is down here. Now when I think about it, I've transport what I call the Italian army, because we had the Fanti Italiani divisions. We had, or battalions, we had 4 of those into a brigade. That one has now been augmented to quite a larger, augmented, it's been increased to quite a larger size, and it's actually got foreign troops now in. So we got the Royal Bavarians, I'm guessing this is supposed to be. If I'm not mistaken, you can probably read here and maybe find that I'm wrong, but something. I'm reading some German states. Bavarian Royal Regiment, there we have it. So I was kind of right, I think. During the French Revolution, the regiment placed in Strasbourg was the first to be honored to wear a tricolor. Huh, okay. First battalion took part in the Battle of Alma, after which they blah 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 moved to Belgium. Okay. So we have a brigade of Royal Bavarians. Also, I realized the this brigade, anyways. I can't recruit those troops anymore, and one of those battalions got destroyed. So I only have 3 of them. So we added another foreign troop that I was able to recruit while I was in control of Hungary and of Croatia. I was able to recruit 1 Galician volunteer battalion, the 33rd Regiment of Foot Guards, and it's a volunteer group from Ukraine, as you can see here. Not super good regiment, but yeah, it's Galician Volunteers, which is now part of that. Also into this army we have the Line Infantry Guards. Really nice picture here of them. Additional unit mod instead being shown. And that's about it for this army, really. But before I go ahead and take Cairo in Egypt for myself, and also we talked a bit earlier in an early episode about, you know, taking control of monopolizing different commodities. This area is cotton plantation, one of the few places in Europe where you get one of these cash crops. I should say here also, in terms of securing trade lines, the Russians came through and they broke up my monopoly that I had on the spices. And so, because there's always sitting a bunch of bloody bastards sitting here just waiting for trade rights to open up, we've got the Genoans, Savoy, and the Knights of St. John have moved in, and so they have decreased the price of spices quite a bit. Although all over, my trade income has increased to 124,000, and then tax income is 100,000. Right now, highest price for commodities actually tobacco, and I have been thinking a little bit about going through and maybe changing out a few of these areas along the coast here. Like this, we've got cotton here. What if we put tobacco instead? Currently cotton is trading at 22, while tobacco is at 28. So that could be changed in favor of tobacco. So there's a few things like that that could be done. Currently the biggest grossing trade partner is Spain, and that's how it's supposed to be, because Spain is our greatest ally and we've never been to war with them and so on. So they're number one right now. Also, we are trading a little bit in slaves. My idea is to make kind of the transition into sort of the horrible policies of slave trade and colonial policy of genocide, to trade into those once the queen dies, and hopefully it'll be a king, because I want to put the blame on a man rather than a woman. If it doesn't feel right, that I don't think well, maybe I guess if she's a horrible, but I don't want to put that on a queen. I want to put that on a king, like a horrible king that institutes that. Alternatively, I could put it on a queen, but say if it's a bad queen with like 2 stars, and instead I make up something about the chief minister, in this case Florentin, which could be, or if I could pick someone with maybe not Jughead, but someone that's got some kind of deviant trait, possibly. But with that said, let's go back to not India. Nothing's going on in India. What we're going to start off with is there's quite a sizable Ottoman force here, and I loved it just because look at how many of it's fire ships. If you thought the previous big fire ship battle was directed by Michael Bay, he might be Michael Bay if he's Ottoman, because Bay is like an Ottoman title, right? But yeah, so we're gonna take our fleet, we're gonna sink that one here. The thing is, I've tested out and done all of these things just to see that the battle works, like this battle works. But also in that, I took this fleet, I sunk this, and then I kind of looked at what was, checking the coast here. And I found there's 3 other fleets, Ottoman fleets, fully stacked with troops, sitting right here with nowhere to go, except into a fiery pit of hell, as we will be recruiting tons of fire ships to attacking those fleets and just absolutely destroying them. In terms of what I want to do with the Ottomans in terms of breaking down their empire, I'm not sure. The best thing is usually giving over the territory to their allies, so they can't really attack them and regain the territory. So I'm wondering, Georgia could possibly take, like, I don't know if Armenia can rise as its own state, or if Mesopotamia, Syria, if that can raise into its own state. I'm pretty sure Egypt can become its own state, like it can become the Egyptian Caliphate or something like that, because I think I've done that before. But anyways, enough talking. Let's go ahead and have ourselves a huge explosion as a dozen fire ships crash into each other. With that, let's put the sea to flame. A decisive victory at sea. We managed to sink 20 of the enemy's 20 ships, every single one of them. In total, 29 ships were destroyed during the battle. Every single fire ship that was present got blown up into bits. Nothing more to be said about that. But not only did the fleet sink, but the entire army with it. That's why you do not load your entire army onto a fleet of fire ships. With that, it should be open for our army to take Cairo. The pyramids shall be ours. I was hoping I'd be able to see the pyramids, but no, they're nowhere to be found. So I guess we're not close enough. But we can see Cairo, though. My setup is as following. We've got the cannons here on a high hill, howitzers, down a little bit more in the valley. The heavy cuirassier cavalry set up behind line, ready to plug any gaps if necessary. From left to right, we've got the Royal Bavarians marching closest here to the suburb, and they're going to be followed up by foot guards, line infantry foot guards, 4 of those. So we've got 2 brigades marching through there. In the center, I have placed the Vinu infantry together with the Galician volunteers. They're going to be backed up by the grenadiers of the king. And over on the furthest right here, we've got the Italian brigade backed up by line infantry guards. And then all the way on the other side of the suburb, quite far away, I've got the lancers ready to do a wide turnaround, turn up behind the enemy and hit them in the back. I've intentionally actually put the howitzers as far back as possible so that they won't target the enemy's artillery as much and will target the enemy formations of infantry and cavalry moving in on our lines. With that said, we will start and looking at the enemy's formations here and a bit of what the ground holds in front of us. We're going to start by having the Royal Bavarians gain ground to about there, and then the backup brigade is going to follow them. We're going to take this actually up onto the hill so we don't get surprised by enemies coming close there. And given that the enemy has so many troops there, I'm going to put the grenadiers closest to that. And we're going to do a slight alteration here then with the Royal Bavarians, so we connect these lines. And then I can see enemy units moving around to move around us. We've got Baghdad cavalry and a few other units, so I'm going to send in the lancers already. And we're going to take the heavy cuirassiers to plug this gap here. And as I've been spending too much time, the Italians are kind of out of line, but now the Italians will be moved up along the road and they'll be ready to do a flank maneuver. I don't think they're gonna need the reinforcement brigade, so the reinforcement brigade is gonna be moved to actually reinforce the center instead. Okay, I can see the Baghdad cavalry is doing a wide flank of its own. And my lancers have a few targets here as they move forward, but I'm not as gung-ho as moving forward them just yet. As to not forget it, I will order 2 of my cuirassiers to charge the Baghdad cavalry immediately. It's Baghdad lancers, the huge hats. Probably means they're really important, doesn't it? The Royal Bavarians having their baptism of fire as they're fighting with Cairo pirates. That's an interesting unit. We got other enemy units moving closer here, getting shelled by the howitzers. One thing that I need to keep in mind is make sure that the howitzers don't actually blow up my own troops. So it might be better to target an area where the enemy is, kind of like that, and try and avoid getting destroyed that way. Yeah, we're winning that fight. We got pirates and stuff. Not really super important changes. The Italians moving forward. Tantrum Tartars. Senior, actually. Quite the formations moving forward. Sword infantry. Squad of fighter. It's kind of a large squad when it contains 420 men. Not entirely clue what that is. And then we got Berber musketeers. Ooh, this unit is actually getting... The Royal Bavarians are getting swarmed. I'm gonna see if we cannot get some aid from the howitzers. Blowing up some units here and behind. Why aren't you guys... Oh, that actually hit our own unit. Actually, these two Royal Bavarians will withdraw. That caused one of them, the 8th Battalion, to break. The howitzers did their work, and then the backup brigade will be ordered to fire at will. And these guys are holding pretty well. But it might be good to take the grenadiers over and turn them over. Actually, send in the grenadiers to aid out in the melee fight. That should be good. The battle is kind of... We're definitely winning the battle. We're gonna send in the lancers now. What was that? A little camel unit? No. God knows what that is. Lancers. The two other lancers will be moving directly towards... What's this? Ah, Barbary pirates. We need aid by the cuirassiers. The other one's gonna make it through town and attack over there. Islamic swordmen retreating through the lines. The two Royal Bavarians came under heavy pressure, but they're back, ready to fight again. The line is holding. I'm gonna put a bit of extra pressure here with the with my troops. Two grenadier units will fall back to their reserve position. The Italians will be ordered forward, and we might want to see about possibly straightening out this line. The Galician volunteers have done pretty well. They weren't really put to the test like a few other units were. Like the ones here that were attacked by the pirates, but obviously also the two Royal Bavarians. Let's see if we cannot find slightly better positions for these two infantries. Actually, there's more pirates and shit coming this way. So one of these move back to reserve position. And the grenadiers will take the main line now. And then we'll actually retreat this one as well. We'll turn the Galician on the side. And have these two open fire. And then have the grenadiers fire. Actually, what we could do is, it's been a long time since we threw grenades. So why don't we have them throw grenades at the enemy. And I completely forgot my lancers. And they've kind of been torn up by that. Let's see here. Grenades ready. Let's throw a few grenades on these barbaric pirates. Okay, so when I said a few, I meant 235 grenades. I wanted 235 grenades thrown on my enemy. Most of our enemy troops are now far away from all the lines of infantry that I've got moving forward, so I will order my howitzers to fire at will. Not entirely sure what I ordered this Lancer unit to attack. Some kind of musket unit. It's being torn down though. Same kind of over here. We got smaller units that need to get run over. I thought they had one of those nasty... oh, there is the nasty cannon. But I don't think it ever really was able to fire, did it? Let's have these two Royal Bavarians turn and prepare to face these. The Italians have been marching through the desert to get closer to the enemy, and they're about to destroy them. Let's go ahead and reselect here with the howitzers and actually target this unit. I think it's actually situated in a way, yeah. They're not doing any damage and they're receiving very little damage from where they're positioned right now. All the cavalry should be running down the enemy units. We'll tell the Italians to hold fire, otherwise they'll most likely fire on our own units. And with that, it looks like the battle is very much done as soon as this unit realizes that we've honed in on them with the artillery. Royal Bavarians doing their work. It's the last unit then that holds on, and concentrated fire from all pieces of artillery will surely break their spirit, as it has broken everyone else's spirit. Oh, there's a unit of archers holding on, actually causing more damage for their brothers, as the battle is not over. The cannon bombardment will continue to wreck the units retreating here, causing untold harm to the bodies of the friends of these archers. Although now when I notice, they are Armenian archers, so they might not be super happy about the Ottomans anyways. And so the 9th Lancer, quite tired, prepared to make their attack on the oasis. Oh, there's more units there actually. There's not just Armenians, but there's some Caucasian hillmen. As the cavalry pile on, I doubt these units will hold on. But they will try their best. And with that, the battle is won. The pyramids and all the treasures of Egypt are ours. British Museum, eat your heart out. The treasures of Egypt are now ours. We ended up losing 1,800 men out of our force of 8,500. The enemy lost all their troops. There's a discrepancy of about 400 men that we killed of our own. No surprise, there was quite a bit of cannon fire going all over the place. It wasn't maybe that coordinated by my side. In terms of who killed the most, it's the center brigade that killed the most, with some backup unit, and then cavalry. We've got grenadiers, and the Galician unit turns up here as well. Royal Bavarians didn't do too well in terms of what they killed anyways. Then again, the Italian brigade didn't do much either out there on the flank. The enemy moved pretty quickly in towards the center and to attack us in melee, and that didn't go too well for them. And with that, the flanking force had nothing really to flank. But there we have it. Egypt is ours. The thing is, I've already held Egypt for a little bit before, and that we can see some remnants of that because we've got 4.5% Catholics. And we can see some European buildings, or one European building, that would be the trade port. I try to, as much as possible, build trade ports wherever I go when I take over enemy territory, because to limit the enemy's ability to build ships. I was hoping to build trade ports here. Unfortunately, trouble with oncoming onslaught of Russian death stacks coming down on Hungary forced me to quickly abandon those areas and hand them over to the Austrians. I'm also put my priests that were at Vienna, I've put them all the way down here to aid out the Venetians. Of course, I gave the Venetians all of Greece. I wonder if a Greek nation could spawn, who knows. But I'm trying to turn them Catholic to aid the Venetians. So we're getting rid of the Orthodox and the Islam in this region. But with that said, we've done quite enough, and it's time to end this episode. So I'll say as I always say, hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and hopefully I'll see you guys for the next one. Bye.